Hi guys, and welcome to another video. Now, I've had a lot of people ask me to make this video, so I thought it's about time I did it, so I've made it this week. Now, so what is this video actually about? Well, this video is all about custom tabs on the Unraid dashboard. Now, for people who have used Unraid for a while, you're probably aware of an excellent plugin by Andrew Zawadski, or you'll know him on the forums as Squid. He's got a plugin called Custom Tab. Now, what this plugin does is allow us to make additional tabs on the top of the Unraid GUI here. And when we click onto them, it can take us to another URL or even a page inside of the Unraid server. Now, this functionality on its own is absolutely awesome and it's really cool. But I've always wanted to be able to do a little bit more with it. I've always thought it would be cool if we could actually click onto one of these newly made tabs and have it not only be able to go to another URL, but actually maybe run some commands or run a script as well. So what I've done is I've actually made something to give custom tabs some extra functionality. And I call this Unraid Custom Tab Super. Now, before I show you what it can actually do, I just want to show you on my servers here how I use custom tabs myself. Now, you can see across the top here, I've got Base Star, Battlestar, Serenity, Nebu, Imperial, Sulaco, Andromeda, Bataseria, and HA. Now, if I click onto HA here, this takes me to my Home Assistant tab, which is on a separate URL. But these other tabs here, like Base Star is the server that I'm on, Battlestar is another Unraid server, Serenity another, Nebuchadnezzar another, and Imperial, again, another server here. And what you'll notice is when I click on any of these servers, because the tabs on each server are in exactly the same order, when I click onto one, it acts as if it's kind of one pane of glass, and I can switch between servers with everything looking the same on any of them at all. So you're probably asking, well, you knew how to do that anyway, so what's so special about Custom Tab Super? Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go across to Battlestar here, and I'm actually going to put this server to sleep. So, okay, this server's now sleeping. And on Serenity, I'm going to put Serenity to sleep as well. And also my backup server here, Imperial, I'm going to put this one to sleep as well. Now this server here, Nebuchadnezzar, this is on all of the time. It's just a little server with an Intel N100. It uses a really small amount of energy, probably about kind of 10 to 15 watts. So because this is on all the time, I like to be able to come here and still go onto any of my servers even if they're asleep. So we put Battlestar to sleep, so I'm going to click onto it here. And we can see it's woken it up. And let's do the same with Imperial. Let's go there. And again, we're doing this from Battlestar this time. And we can see here it's saying script running because it's waking it up. And here we are back on Imperial. And Serenity was the other one we put to sleep, so let's wake that one. And here we are back onto Serenity. So I find it really good that I can go to any of my servers and I set the servers I don't use that often to automatically go to sleep if there's no activity, and I don't have to actually return them on when I want to use them. So for me, I find that really, really useful. Now, if I go to my main server here to Base Star here, I've also got one of my favourite VMs at the top here, Bataseria. Now, this VM is an emulation VM that actually runs inside of this cabinet you can see behind me here, because inside here, I'm not sure if you can see, I've got a rack of 3 servers, and on one of those servers, it runs a VM that runs Bataseria. Now, before I show you me click onto this button here, I'm on Unraid 7 and I just want to show you what my power mode is actually set to. So it's set for best power efficiency, but when I run Bataseria, I want the server to run at best performance. So I'm going to click on Bhattacharya here. And this time you can see that we've got a countdown because I've made it so basically if you accidentally press something you don't want to, then you've got a chance to actually be able to stop it just in case you did it by mistake. So now we can see here Bhattacharya is running. And if we go back here to settings and power mode, you can see now the server's running in best performance. And there we are. We can see as well that Bhattacharya has come onto the arcade cabinet. Because what it's also done is there's a Tasmotor plug that has the monitor and the kind of marquee up there, and it will turn all of that on when I actually press the button to run Bhattacharya here. So for me, I find that really awesome to be able to run additional scripts. So that's what I use mine for, but I'm sure there's a million other things that you could actually think of to actually use it for yourself. So if this is something you find interesting, well, stick around and I'll show you how to set it all up. Okay, so this video is going to be fairly long, but it really is worth watching it all the way through. Well, of course I'm going to say that, aren't I? But for those of you who want to know what to expect, the first thing we're going to look at is setting up and using the standard custom tabs plugin. Then after we've seen how to do that, I'm going to be showing you how to supercharge those custom tabs and add extra functionality to them. We're going to be seeing how to run commands and even scripts from clicking on these tabs. And then finally, the last thing we're going to be looking at is after we've got all of our custom tabs sorted out and set up, I'm going to be showing you how we can just easily, with a click of a button basically, copy our custom tabs from one server to another. Anyway, let's not waste any more time and let's get started. Okay, so here I am on a test server here, and you can see I'm starting with a blank slate, all the custom tabs removed, starting from scratch. So, the first thing we need to do, obviously, is to install the excellent Custom Tabs plugin. So, for that we need to go to Community Applications and just type in Custom Tab and click on Install to install that plugin. So, with that installed, if we go to Settings here, on the bottom of the settings page under User Utilities, we'll see a new tab called Custom Tab. So if we just click onto that, and this is where we can add tabs along the top here. Now there's one thing to note is if the server is running HTTPS, then all of the links that we put in Custom Tab must also be HTTPS as well. I don't access my server via HTTPS, so it doesn't affect me at all. Anyway, I'm going to click on Add Another Tab to add a tab here. And so here we fill in the settings to be able to add the tab to the top. And here at the top we can choose 3 different types of URL or a built-in page inside the Unraid itself. So clicking here we get a drop down with URL, built-in page, URL same tab and URL open new tab. Now out of these 3 different URL types, in fact this first one URL, we can't actually use this anymore. And the easiest way to explain as to why not is to show you when I use it. So I'm going to quickly switch across to my main server here. I'm going to grab here its URL. And then let's paste it into the section called URL here. And I'm going to give it a name, and I'm going to call it the name of my server, which is BaseStar. And also I'm going to make that exactly the same for the name underneath the full tab name here. So setting this here to URL, what it's meant to do is to put the page in a framed kind of page inside the page that we're in. But like I said, unfortunately, this doesn't actually work anymore. Now, this isn't actually a fault of the plugin, but when we go and click on the tab here, we can see here I'm getting this message, Firefox can't open this page. I'm going to click Learn More here, and basically it's a security measure. Now, it's not only Firefox that will do this, all modern browsers will, and it's to do with something called clickjacking. Now, clickjacking is when a web page tries to make the user go to some page that they're not expecting to go to. So it's basically a protection thing. Okay, so let's go back into the custom tab settings here. And so we know we can't use URL. And as this is an external URL, we're not going to use built-in page. What I'm going to choose here is URL open in same tab. And that way it will basically just replace this page here. Okay, to make that change, I'm just going to click apply and now click back on Baystar here. And as you see, it's replaced the page with Baystar's actual web UI. Okay, let's look at the other URL type. Let's go back to the other server and go to custom tab here. And what we can do is we can go to URL open new tab. Now for this, it says pop-ups, they must be enabled. Now I haven't actually enabled pop-ups yet on this browser, but I'm going to click on apply anyway and try and open the tab again. And now I'm getting the message which it really should say, Space Invader, you're an idiot, you totally ignored the instructions. So in Firefox, to do that, I would come across here to settings and then privacy and security, and then scrolling down through here, you can see here we've got block pop-up windows. Now I could either turn this off, or the best thing to do is to add some exceptions. So all we need to do is put the IP address, and if I go here and have a look, my IP is 10.10.20.195 on this server. So if I pop that in here and then click allow, the IP addresses here in this list will, well, be allowed to do pop-ups. So with pop-ups allowed now, clicking on Baystar, it opens up in a new tab. Now personally, I don't really like clicking on a server name and it opening in a new tab. I prefer it to open in the same tab, but that's just me. But there are things that are quite useful for this, in my opinion. For example, if I add another tab here, and let's make one for, say, Home Assistant. Home Assistant's got a totally different sort of GUI, and I'd probably want to open it and then close it when I've finished, and that's why I'd actually want to have it as opening in a new tab. So I'm going to call this HA and set it to open in a new tab. And so now if I click onto HA, well, it opens it in a new tab. I can go back here, but for Baystar, it opens it in the same tab. Okay, so that's the two types of URL that we can use, but also we can use a built-in page. So if I name this, say, ZFS, I can choose a built-in page, and I'm going to go down to the bottom here, and I'm going to choose the ZFS master page here. Now you only have this if you've got the ZFS master plugin installed, and I'm going to click on to apply here. So now we can see we've got this tab ZFS at the top. Now what this will bring us to is the ZFS master info here. So by putting this tab here, I can just click onto ZFS and it just shows all of the ZFS information on the server in one tab with nothing else there. So that's really nice. You can kind of create your own custom page and how it's displayed. I think that's a really useful feature of the Custom Tabs plugin. And again, if I go across to my main server here and show you the same tab there, if I click on ZFS here, well, it just keeps everything to do with ZFS in one place. So, pretty cool. Right, so that's a very basic and quick overview of how the regular Custom Tabs plugin works. Now what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to put all the other servers in that I've got across the top toolbar here. So for all of them, I'm just going to choose URL same tab, put in the name and the URL. And basically just rinse and repeat for all of the others here. Now on this tab, you can see that I'm actually putting the name of the server that I'm actually on. Now you might think that's a bit strange. You know, why would we ever want to click this tab when we're on this server? Well, it's not actually for that. It's basically just to make all of the tabs on every server exactly the same. The last server I'm adding here, Andromeda, this server isn't on my local network. This one's running in a data center. And so that's why when you see me paste in a URL here, it's actually a Tailscale URL. And I've got a cool series of videos on Tailscale, the first of which I'll be uploading this or early next week. So if you're not a subscriber, then hit the subscribe and you won't miss those videos. Okay, so with all the servers put in now, I can click on and go to any server I want, and then after that go back to the original one I started from. Now before going any further, I'm going to click on Battlestar here and just show you a limitation how things are at the moment. I'm setting this one to go to sleep, and now back on the server we just set the tabs on, and yeah, I know this is really obvious, but clicking on the Battlestar tab, well, we're not going to go anywhere at all. The URL doesn't exist because that server's asleep. But we can fix that. Okay, so now let's add some additional functionality to the Custom Tabs plugin. Now we're going to need another plugin. we're going to need the user scripts plugin now. So if you don't have that installed, then install the user scripts plugin. And once that's installed, go to settings. And again, under user utilities, you're going to see this plugin here, user scripts. Click onto that, and here's where we can add new scripts. So next we want to go onto a new tab and do a search for Space Invader 1 GitHub. Click onto here, and once here, click onto repositories, and you're looking for this here, custom tab super. Now if we click here, there's full instructions how to do this. So the script we need here is this custom tab super script here. So click onto that. Now in the top right here, next to where it says raw, click on this button here to copy the raw file. And so now with this on the clipboard, I'm going to go back to the instructions here. And if we scroll down here, and it tells us to name the script custom tabs super. Now it's really important that it is actually named this name. So I'm going to go back to the user scripts here and click add new script. And I'm going to call it custom tab super. Now it really is important to call it this because this script indirectly gets called when you click a custom tab, so it needs to be called this, else it won't be able to be found. So with that done, I'm going to click onto OK. And we can see here, this is the location of where the script resides. So that's why it was so important to name it correctly so it can be found, because the script will generate custom HTML and PHP files that will actually call this script to do its work. Okay, so another thing we need to do is set this script to run at first start of array only. Now the reason we need to do this is because the script, it generates some symlinks, and we want to make sure they're always generated when the server starts or restarts. Okay, so let's fill out the script now. So click onto the cog and go to edit script. And you'll see this section here saying start of user configuration section. So that's pretty obvious that that's where the user configuration section starts. Now you'll notice here, the first thing we see is custom tab super 1. Now if we scroll down, we'll actually see there's 9 of these in total before it says end of user configuration section. So basically these sections allow us to create up to 9 different super custom tabs. So let's start by looking at this custom super tab 1 because it's already got an example configuration that's put in here. Now obviously when you come and actually fill yours in, make sure you delete these 2 lines because these are just examples. Now the first command that I've put in here is a command called beep. Now this command is only relevant if you have what's called a beep speaker in your Unraid server. And what this command does is just what it sounds like, is it makes the server make a little beep noise. I like this because I like an audible sound when I click one of my custom tabs. So under that is the first real command here. It's called the etherwake command, and what this does is send a magic packet or a wake on LAN packet to a MAC address of another device on the network. And the MAC address here is of my main Unraid server. So obviously what I want this custom tab to do is to actually wake up my main server if it happens to be asleep. Now if you want to do the same, then I really suggest you watch my other video about sleeping and waking an Unraid server, because it's not always quite as straightforward as you might think. But of course you don't just have to do a wake on LAN ping from here, you can execute any commands at all that you want to. And you can even run a script from here. And we'll be looking at running a script a bit later on in the video. Anyway, back to this section here. Now, after we've set the commands we want to execute, we need to fill in the custom redirect URL next. So the purpose of this part is it's a URL that we give it, so after these commands have been run, the tab will then land on the custom redirect URL that we define here. So here I've put the URL of my main Unraid server's web UI. So after it's done the etherwake command, it will then land on the web UI of the Unraid server it's just woken up. And if the server actually was already awake, well that doesn't matter, the etherwake command just won't have any effect and it will just go straight to the page of my main Unraid server. Now there's one extra thing that we can configure for these super tabs, and that's a custom message to display when we click on the tab. Now this is optional and you don't need to do this, But here in my example, I just have a message saying waking base star server. Okay, so that's it. That's how we fill out the custom tab super slots. And it's the same for any other slots that you want to fill out, up to a total of the available 9 slots that we have here. And so what I'll do next is just show you a configuration that's already filled out with lots of different tabs. Okay, so here it is. The script's now filled out with lots of different tabs already. So let's have a look here at custom tab super 2. It's set to do 2 different etherwake commands and then redirect to this custom URL here, waking up the server Battlestar. Now you might wonder, why have I got 2 different etherwake commands here? Well, a lot of my servers have got 2 NICs, and if I unplug the network cable sometime and accidentally plug it back into the wrong actual port, well, by having both ports specified here, if I make a mistake, then it's still going to wake up. And by the way, all of these actual MAC addresses, for the sake of this video, they're just kind of random ones that aren't actually real. So you can see how we actually set up all of the custom super tabs here. So I'm going to click onto Save Changes. And so once we've done that and we're ready, all we need to do is to click on to Run Script here. So what the script's doing now is it's generating some special HTML and PHP files, along with a list of special URLs that we can copy and paste directly into the Custom Tabs plugin. And we can find that in the System Share. So let's click onto Shares here, then go to System. Then here we can see this folder here called Custom Pages. Let's click onto that. And here we can see all the custom HTML and PHP files that the script just created. So what we're looking for is the README file, because the script also generates a custom README file which is specific to each server the script runs on. And here we can see 2 blocks of custom URLs which we can copy and paste from and paste into the Custom Tabs plugin. So just what's the difference between these 2 blocks of URLs? Well, this first block at the top here, these URLs will run our custom commands instantly without any hesitation at all. But the bottom block here, and you can probably guess because it says countdown at the end, these URLs will run the same commands, but before they do so, after clicking on the custom tab before it executes the commands, on the screen it will have a 5-second countdown where you can either click on continue or cancel. This is obviously useful if from a tab you're running a script and you're worried you might accidentally click onto the tab. Well, it gives you the opportunity to stop it in case it was a mistake. Okay, so let's go back to the custom tabs page here. And in fact, let's split the screen into 2. So here we can see our custom URLs that we can use. And here are our custom tabs. So all I need to do is I need to change the URLs here. So here when I click base star, what I want it to do is I want it to run this custom URL here. That will send the wake on LAN ping across to base star, then open its web UI. So I'm just going to paste that in here and the next. And I'll just go through and do all the same for the other tabs that I want. Obviously, I'm going to speed it up so you don't have to watch. Okay, so those are the only custom tabs that I want on this server. So I'm now going to click on to apply and done. So now when I click onto Battlestar, it's telling me it's waking Battlestar because it's currently asleep. And here we are logged in. So if I go back to Sulaco again, and this time I'm going to click on Serenity. This is another server that's currently sleeping. And here we are with the server woken up. Okay, so now we need to look at actually running a script from one of these tabs. And to do that, I'm going to go across to base star here, and I'm going to add the custom script here, which will set this server into performance mode and then start up the VM Bataseria. So let's go back to GitHub here, and in the custom tab super repository, there's another folder here called other useful scripts. And there's 2 other scripts that are quite useful that we can use with custom tab super. Now the one we're going to look at right away is this start VM performance script here. So I'm going to click onto that and again go to the right hand side and click on to copy raw file. So let's go back to base star, settings and user scripts, and I'm going to add a new script and I'm just going to call it start Bato Sarah. So now I'm just going to click onto edit and I'm going to paste in the script here. Now I'm going to click onto save and I'm going to go to the VMs tab now. And here I'm going to click on the Bato Sarah VM and go to edit. And just in case I do a typo, I decided to actually copy the name of the VM. That, and I'm a bit lazy as well. Right, so let's quickly go back to the script and edit it. Now there's not much we have to actually edit here. All we need to do is put the name of the VM in between the quotations here, and then the script will be able to actually start up this VM. So at the moment, what this script does is it basically just starts up the VM with whatever name you've put in here, and also sets the CPU scaling governor on the server to be in performance mode. Now, if you remember at the very beginning of this video, when I clicked on the custom tab for Bato Sarah, it actually turned on the monitor and the marquee on my arcade cabinet. And that's done with the Tasmotor smart plug, which I send a curl command to, which switches it on. And I put the curl command in the VM script here, although you could actually put it in the custom tab superscript, but I prefer to keep things more modular. That's why I put it at the end of this script. But anyway, you can add anything you like extra to this script if you want to have it have more functionality. And of course, obviously, you can run any script you want. It doesn't just have to be this one. Now, before I go and press save here, what we want to do is we want to get the full location of this script. So I'm going to copy this here onto the clipboard because we're going to need this in a moment. Now it's very important we get the full location. And if I click onto save changes here now, you can see another location here which looks really similar. But this isn't actually the full location of the script. This is the folder where the script is actually inside of. So you need the full location from inside of the script because that's what we're going to need. Okay, so next we need to edit custom tab super. And so I'm going to add another tab. Now 7 here is free. So like I always do, I'm going to put beep first because I like to hear a beep. And then under there, to run the script, I'm going to type bash space and then in quotations, I'm going to put the location of the script. Now, it's always best to have the script run in the background, otherwise we have to wait for this script to finish before it will actually carry on and do anything. So what I'm going to do to make it run in the background is put a space and then the and sign. Okay, so what this will do now is it will make a beep noise and then it will run the start VM script, and then we need it to actually go to a URL. So I'm going to put in http:// and then the IP address of my main server. But I think I want it to go to the actual VMs page, so I'm going to put /VMs at the end. And I want it to display a message, so I'm going to put starting Bato Sarah and setting to performance. Okay, so with that done, I'm going to click on to save changes. And because I've added something extra, I need to rerun the custom tab superscript. So I'm going to click on to run. And let's go to shares, system, custom pages. I'm going to go to the README here. And it's number 7, but I don't want to use this one. I want to use one with a countdown. So this time I'm going to choose a custom HTML with the safety of having a countdown with it. So with that done, let's go to settings and custom tab. And I'm going to scroll down to the bottom here. And let's add another tab. Again, I'm going to choose to open in the same tab. And the name, Bato Sarah. And I'm going to paste in that URL. Okay, so let's test it out. I'm going to click on to Bato Sarah now. And here's the countdown here. I'm just going to let it run down to nothing. But I could actually click on to continue if I wanted to. And you can see here we've landed on the VM page and Bato Sarah is running. Now let's quickly check what the power mode of the server is. And clicking here on power mode, we can see it's in best performance. Now I'm just going to stop the VM and show you running the tab again, but this time clicking cancel. Okay, so the VM stopped, so let's click on the tab again. Okay, so if I click cancel before the time runs out, it says cancelled here and then just takes us back to the previous page. And we can see here there's no VM running. Right, so let's look at the last thing we're going to be looking at in this video. And to do that, let's go back to GitHub here and look at the other script here in the other useful scripts folder. And so we're going to be looking at the clone custom tabs script here. And what this script does is clone custom tabs from one server to another. And it will do both regular custom tabs and also custom tab super. If you clone some custom tab super over, it will also update the IP address in the new server you're copying it across to, making sure everything works flawlessly. Okay, so to demonstrate this, what I've done is on 3 servers I've removed all of the custom tab. So Battlestar's got none, Serenity's got none, and Suluco's got none. So let's go back to BaseStar, which is my main server. You'll also notice that I've moved off the tab to start up the VM here. Basically because the VM is only running on this server. And so I don't want to clone it across to the others. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the user scripts here and I'm going to copy the custom tab super here as it's filled out. And then I'm going to go to Battlestar and add it to the user scripts here. And I'm going to add it to Serenity as well. And finally Suluco. Right, so before we actually copy and use this script, let's go to the main server here. And there's one thing we have to make sure is enabled, is we need to go to the flash drive here on the main tab, and we need to make sure the SMB security settings for the flash drive export is set to yes, and security is set to public. Now we only have to do this while we're running the script the one time. After that we can come and actually turn export off, but for the script to function, this must be set to yes and security to public. So we need to take note of the main server we want to clone from. For me that's 10.10.20.199. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to GitHub now, and I'm going to click on the clone custom tab script here. And as always, I'm going to click on the copy raw file. And first, let's go to Battlestar here and click on add new script. I'm just going to call it clone. And I'm going to go to edit and I'm going to paste the script in. As always, I'm going to click save changes and then go back in and make my edits. So the only thing I need to do is put in the IP address of the server I want to clone from. So I need to put it here in between the quotations. So my IP is 10.10.20.199. And that's all we need to put into this script, so we can just click Save Changes. And now I'm just going to go back here to Edit, and I'm going to copy the whole of this onto the clipboard for the other servers. And so now that's all filled out, I can click onto Run Script. And we can see here it says the file's been copied from my main server here. But at the moment, we can't see any custom tabs at the top. Well, that's an easy fix. We just go to Settings, then Custom Tab, and we can see they're all in here. But we just have to make one little change and then put it back for them to stick and for the apply button to be enabled. So I'm just going to change the URL type and then back to what it was, and the apply button shows up and I can click onto it. And so now all the custom tabs are copied across, they're all at the top here. Perfect. And just so the tabs work, I'm going to run the custom tab superscript now. So I'm just going to click onto run script and set it to auto start at first start of array. And so, really easy to copy across your custom tabs to another server. Simple as that. Now I'm going to quickly speed through doing the other servers as well. So now all I'm doing is just running the same scripts on the other 2 servers, and it's cloning everything from the main server onto those 2 as well. On the other servers, I don't need to make any changes to the scripts, just run them, and it's cloning the tabs straight off the main server. Okay, so all the tabs are cloned. BaseStar, Battlestar, Serenity, Nebuchadnezzar, Imperial, Suluco, and finally Andromeda. So it's all working as expected. Now, just before I go and wrap this up, one more thing to show you. Now, I've put back on the Battlestar tab here, but I've also put it on all of the other servers as well. Now, if I go to Imperial here, I can actually run the Battlestar VM on BaseStar from this tab. So if I click onto it now, and let's click continue. Okay, great. So we're over on the landing page on BaseStar here, and the Battlestar VM has started up. And how I did this is on all of the other servers, I made a case on the custom tab superscript to actually start the script on base star, the VM script that is, using SSH and the no-hup command, so it run it in the background on the other server and just start up the VM. And of course, for that to work, I needed SSH keys to be exchanged between the servers. Okay, anyway guys, I know it's been a bit of a long video, and for those of you who have watched right the way through to the end, thanks very much for watching. And if you enjoyed this video, then please give it a like, share it with anyone else who you think might find it interesting. And as always, I want to give a really big thank you to all of my patrons and supporters out there. Thank you so much guys for all of your support. I really wouldn't be able to make these videos if it wasn't for your kind support. Anyway guys, it's getting late here and it's time for me to go. But whatever you're up to for the rest of the day, I hope it's good. And I'll catch you in the next video.